Well, hello to my girls, gays, theys, and the little monsters. My name is EJ Marino, and welcome to my channel. Today, I have been waiting for this day for quite some time. We are talking about House of Gucci. Father, Son, and House of... Oh my goodness, I really like this movie. Now, I have some issues. Ridley Scott, girl, were you scared to go full camp? Were you scared you were going to make your showgirls? Because I wanted that. I like this movie. We'll get into my more feelings of the overall vibe, like the acting, the cinematography, all that stuff in a bit. But looking at this film as what I wanted it to be, this could have been a camp classic. This could have been a film for ages that people would have went to and been like, oh my god, this was the campiest movie I've ever seen. I wanted that. I was a bit upset that this movie didn't go the full Monty. Literally, I wish it was like the movie The Full Monty. At least that was campy. I think this movie definitely has the elements. What really surprised me is this was a straight up comedy at times, and I think that was intentional. This movie is the most fun Ridley Scott has had in years. I actually was just like, oh my god, Ridley, you seem like you want to be here. You seem like you're not hating everything and making a very dry, pretentious film. I thought this movie was really light, really moved. Is it a bit too long? Yeah, sure. There's about 20 minutes in here I would have cut out, but that's my problem. I don't know what I would have cut out. It's one of those situations where you're like, okay, I obviously know that this movie needs to be trimmed, but I can't sit here and think of what I would have trimmed. I'm like, but I wanted to see Gaga and Salma Hayek have the mud bath, but I really liked watching Gucci get taken away from the really stupid men that were running it. I like all these scenes. I don't want them to go. Yeah, I overall had a great experience with this film. I thought it was very entertaining, very just straightforward what it needed to be. I just wanted it to be a bit more, to be honest, a bit more gay. Like, come on, Ridley, don't be scared. No one was gonna yell at you. Make this campy, make this over the top. I would have loved it even more, but as a film for what was presented, I enjoyed it. House of Gucci stars Lady Gaga, Adam Driver, Jared Leto, Al Pacino, Jeremy Irons, Jack Huston. There's a lot of people in this film, but this is the Lady Gaga show. I am not going to be like, I'm not going to hide anything here. I have a Lady Gaga tattoo. I am very biased. I definitely do enjoy her, but I'm always a bit nervous because sometimes, like American Horror Story, I loved her Countess, but that was just Lady Gaga drinking blood. I loved A Star Is Born, but that was just a variant of Lady Gaga, like a Lady Gaga from a different multiverse. House of Gucci, Patrizia is nothing like Gaga. Other than loving sick Gucci fashion, there's nothing in common with these films, and I think Gaga really allowed herself to fall into this role. I think the accent is hilarious. It's a bit over the top, but look up a video with Patrizia. Her accent's a bit wackadoo as well. It goes from Boris and Natasha, moose and squirrel, to like, bippity boppity. It's crazy. This is definitely something that they're trying to do here, but everyone's accent's a bit wonky. Everyone's been pointing out Gaga, and I'm like, yo, Adam Driver's is just as bad. Pacino is doing Pacino. Look, I like him, but like, I grew up with Scarface, where he played the worst Cuban with the worst Cuban accent ever, so Pacino doing anything, I'm fine with. At least it's not that. But yeah, Jared Leto, he's playing a caricature. So many people are like, Jared Leto's an offensive portrayal of Italian people, and I'm like, what? Like, y'all thought he was mocking Italian people? His character's pathetic. His character's a loser. That has nothing to do with his Italian nature. That's just the character. I'm pretty sure the guy was very much like that. I mean, look how he ended his life. At least how he went to the end of his life. He wasn't the most fabulous, over-the-top person. Feels like they kind of captured this character very well. So yeah, I'm really interested in these characters and how they're moving away, like moving around. Patrizia meets Maurizio, and they fall into a quick relationship, but she's an outsider into the world of fashion, kind of coming from like a poor background, so his family, especially Jeremy Irons, is not really accepting of her. So Maurizio decides to just leave the Gucci family and start his own life, and then gets sucked back into it, and then Maurizio starts getting sucked into all of that, and yeah, Patrizia definitely starts getting into the hardness of this and starts falling into that. And I think like Patrizia she's an interesting character because she's definitely a bad character. Like, she's a bad person, but you start going, well, she was right about this. Okay, well, maybe this. Like, I definitely don't think she needed to murder anyone, and she definitely got a little stalky crazy towards the end of their relationship, but up to that point, I was just like, okay, yeah, I don't know, your man's not that good. Like, he doesn't add that extra oomph into your relationship. He seems pretty boring, where you're a bit more fabulous. Honestly, other than how Jared Leto looked, I think they should have, like, Paolo and her should have got together. They were more kind of in line with their visions, especially what they wanted to do with Gucci and bring it forward. That's a big message of this, is like, Gucci was stuck in the past. We need to push it into the new millennium, which they ended up doing. If anyone knows Gucci, when I was a kid, it was gross. Like, it was, that's Gucci for old people. Now, that's something the rappers wear. Now, it's just evolved into a brand that really has a name in the world of fashion and stuff. Not to say Gucci was bad or anything, but it was definitely an older clientele, where now they definitely kind of expanded their horizons. And I thought that was very good, and I thought they portrayed that kind of story where Gucci really needed to get out of the 1930s kind of like shoemaker vibes, where, like, the leather goods like vibe. We needed to go into the future, into fashion. That's why Tom Ford came and changed everything up. Oh, we'll say this. I definitely think Tom Ford could have directed this movie a bit more fun, a bit more fabulous, added a little bit more flair to it. But I like what Ridley did. I just kept going. As soon as they introduced Tom Ford, I'm like, I love nocturnal animals. Oh my god, he could have done this really well. Some of my very quick negatives of the movie, I don't really have a lot of bad things to say about it. I overall liked it, but I will say I hated the cinematography. Straight up, did not like it. Everything was so washed out and muted. When there was colorful scenes, it was still desaturated. I'm not talking about like Zack Snyder stuff. This just looked weird. Like, sometimes they would go into black and white scenes and I would be like, I almost can't tell you the difference because you're so desaturated. That's what keeps this from being a camp classic. Look at any campy movie in the history of camp. Everything from this year's Cruella to Mommy Dearest. Bright, colorful, over the top. That's what this was lacking. This definitely, like I said, it felt like Ridley Scott was scared to get gay, and I mean that in colorful, I mean that in over-the-top vibes. I also think this movie does run a bit too long. It's a long film. I definitely feel like I knew it could have been longer. I knew Ridley had a 3-hour movie in him, but I would have trimmed up 20 minutes. Like I said in the beginning, don't know where I would have shoved it out of, but, we could have just changed up the script structure altogether and made this a shorter film, or maybe have a quicker editing. I think that's something a bit interesting about this film as well. I do think it flows. I do think there's a pace to it. I just think it's kind of like, okay, this scene now follows that scene. I would have just restructured this film. There's something good there. All the pieces are there. I just think they got into the editing bay, hit that desaturation, and just kind of spread out the scenes, and it was just like, all right, let's make it work. And I'm like, oh, you're almost there. This is almost perfect. What are you guys doing? House of Gucci, I wanted to be a campier, more over-the-top film, but it's almost there. There's almost a quality to this that could have made it a camp classic, but now it looks like Ridley Scott has a pretty fairly normal awards contender. Gaga can walk into the Oscars with a Best Picture nomination. That's all I would want. Fingers crossed for that. I don't care about anyone else. Jared Leto, Pacino, I don't care. Irons. All of y'all could get other nominations, but I'm rooting for Lady Gaga. Do I think she's the best female performance of the year? There's a lot of good ones. I haven't seen Olivia Colman's movie yet, but hers could be good. Oh my god, Penelope Cruz, I just watched Parallel Mothers. She's really good. I love Chastain. I love Kristen Stewart. But Gaga has a very good chance here. This is overall a fun film that I enjoyed watching, and I enjoyed bringing it to you guys today. Hope you guys give it to check it out. Check it out over the holiday weekend. This is definitely one for the family to go, okay, we think our family's bad. We're not Gucci bad. I love that. All right, everyone. That is it for my review. What do you guys think of this review? What do you guys think of this movie? Share your thoughts down in the comments below. Subscribe to my channel, and make sure you guys give me a thumbs up, because I do make videos like this every single week. All right, everyone. Let's talk about House of Gucci down below.